Hello, I'm Natasha. Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about the positive news regarding the potential of Marine Le Pen's party, Rassemblement National, winning the elections in France, and why I think this is excellent news, not just for France, but for Europe overall. Firstly, it is interesting to note what the Russians have said regarding the recent EU elections. According to Volodin, the EU election results in both France and Germany were not surprising, given that the economy is stagnating, there is a migration crisis, and the countries are embroiled in a war in Ukraine against their own national interests. It seems that the Russians have a greater understanding of the situation in Europe than the leaders of European countries themselves. So the main reason I hope Le Pen wins is because she has a positive view on both Russia and President Putin. In 2011, she stated, "I don't hide that to an extent I admire Vladimir Putin." In 2015, one day after the start of Russia's intervention in Syria, she said that France should have done what Russia is doing. Then, in 2017, she stated, "I absolutely don't believe that there was an illegal annexation of Crimea. There was a referendum, the inhabitants wished to rejoin Russia." I obviously agree with all of the sentiments that she has expressed here, and she reminds me of Jacques Chirac, who in 2003, in the lead up to the Iraq War, had the confidence to stand up for what was right and oppose the Iraq War. She too has the confidence to stand up and say actually she does agree with Russia on quite a number of topics. She has also blamed tensions between the West and Russia firmly on the US and NATO, which she accused of arming countries on Russia's border. I believe that NATO expansion is a key cause to the current conflict. So apart from her views on Russia, why else do I think that her party winning would be great for France? It seems that Western mainstream media is obsessed with calling her party far right, but have they actually had a look at her policies? Because they do seem very sensible and reasonable to me. I decided to review her policies directly from her website for 4 key areas and summarise the main points that I agree with her on. So firstly, with regards to immigration. Immigration is a key concern for a lot of people in Europe, especially in the UK, where we have, I would argue, uncontrolled immigration. Le Pen has concerns regarding the level of immigration within France and future immigration to France, especially with the explosion of the population in Africa, and that many people from Africa, she predicts, will try and flee to Europe. She believes that this is because the standard of living will increase less quickly than the population. I believe from her website that she is seeking a referendum so that the French people can decide whether the Constitution of France is amended to allow national law to supersede international law, and so that crucially the French people can decide the law relating to foreigners and who can stay in France. This seems extremely democratic to me. Then, with regards to security, she wants to restore law and authority and work to limit the number of victims. She wants to reduce violence against law enforcement agencies, and interestingly, she mentions that she wants judges to know that they have enough prison places when they make their judgments. It seems that there is a lack of prison places in France, as there is in the UK, and that this is a consideration when making judgments. She wants to ensure effective sanctioning of criminals. She is clearly concerned regarding the level of crime and drugs in her country, and believes that there should be fair penalties and that foreigners should be expelled from France following their release from prison. She believes in putting the victim at the centre of politics, security and criminal policy, and that the police's role is to protect the citizen. Hard to really argue with any of her points here. With regards to family, she believes that the family is the heart of the French life. There should be an aim to found families and reward the service of French families to continue the birth rate of the French people. She will hold a referendum and propose to introduce all allocations and family policy bonuses to be reserved exclusively for families of which at least one of the two parents is French. She will also seek to establish a public loan at interest rate 0 for young couples to purchase a new home. She sees the real estate market in France as a considerable obstacle to the creation of new homes. In just 10 years, the price of housing has increased by almost 25% in France. It seems that France is facing the same sort of increase in housing prices as the UK. Then with regards to tourism, she would focus on tourism, which contributes around 8% of GDP for France. She would adopt a serious approach to the tourism sector. She believes that this sector must be put back at the heart of French economic policy, alongside the development of France itself. So overall, I think Le Pen seems to have some great ideas regarding how to improve the situation in France. I also think that her views on Russia could make people question whether the current policies adopted by the West are correct. It will be interesting to see how events develop in France. Let me know what you think of what's going on in France in the comments below.